So this is a basic Mendelian genetics problem, which means we're going to have purely dominant and recessive. It's telling me that right away because it says basic Mendelian genetics. So we're having dominant and recessive traits happening there. And again, I'm going to read the problem and highlight or underline as I go. So it says, in humans, the allele for albinism is recessive. So I'm going to highlight that. Albinism is recessive to the allele for normal skin pigmentation. So that must mean albinism's recessive, normal skin is dominant. If two heterozygotes have children, what is the chance that the child will have normal skin pigment? What is the chance that they will be albino? So I'm going to say they're two heterozygous parents. It's going to say chance of normal and then chance of albino. So there's a couple things I can do here. First, I have to figure out what my letter convention is. You have a couple options. Again, it's usually the first letter of the dominant trait, so you can do an N. You can also do an A. It really doesn't matter much what letter you pick. I'm going to pick A just for our purposes. And what I'd like to do first is I always like to start these by figuring out what the parents are. So right here it tells me that the parents are heterozygotes, both of them. We're going to remember that hetero means different. So the parents are going to be big A, little a, or again, if you're using N, big N, little n, times big A, little a, because they're both heterozygotes. It's going to ask about the chances of the child and what's going to happen. So the only way to figure that out, again, is to use a Punnett square. So I'm going to make my box. And since both parents are the same, we're just going to do big A, little a, and big A, little a. And then again, I'm going to fill in the box, top side, with the capital letter going first, like so. And then don't forget when you do this and you do the Punnett square that you actually have to answer the question. So look back and see what the question's asking. So the first question says, what is the chance that a child will have normal skin pigment? Now, sometimes with these problems, it's going to say, what's the genotype and phenotype? Then you would just give the ratios. In this case, it would be 3-to-1 and 1-to-2-to-1. But this is not saying that. This is talking about chance, which is kind of going back to probability. So in that case, you're going to do kind of the fraction with the percent. Now, what I would do is I would label which one, just because if it's asking for 2, you want to make sure that you have the right one. So what I'm looking at here, and because it's talking about the skin tone, it's asking technically about the phenotype, so what it looks like. So I'm going to look and I'm going to see that 1, 2, 3 of the children have at least one capital A, meaning 3 out of the 4 children have a chance of having normal skin type. And then, again, just to cover my bases, I'm going to do that in a percent as well, which 3/4 is 75%. The second part says, what are the chances of the child being albino? And again, I'm going to look for the phenotype. And here I see only 1 is double recessive. So we're going to do 1 out of 4. And that's going to be 25%. So with these Punnett squares, and really it's Mendelian genetics, it's the codominance, whatever it may be, sometimes they're going to ask for the genophenotype ratios. Sometimes they're going to ask for the chance of. If it's talking about the chance of, they really want a 1 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, and then the percentage with that.